right. Well, hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of From There to Here. I'm your host, Lawrence Temple Jr., and we have a guest here today that I met in an unusual way. He's actually the manager of an auto shop here where I took my car. But in just conversing with him over the business, he exuded this passion about what he did and other things just seeping out in the conversation. So I asked him to be my guest today. I want to make sure I'm saying his name correctly. Joe Tierney IV. Did I say it right?
Joe Tierney IV. Yes, sir.
Okay. And he is the manager of Lonnie's Auto here in the Ormond Beach area. And we're going to talk about cars and that kind of thing, and just his journey as a person and leadership and all kind of different things, like we do here on the show. So, Mr. T, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Temple. How are you today?
And I'm good. So I told you there's the one question I normally tell my guests in advance, which is, let's say you stepped on an elevator, there's somebody there, you're only going to be on there for a few seconds, and they ask you who you are, and you had to summarize who you are in a few seconds. What would you say?
I'm a leader, protector, provider, man of God, and an adrenaline junkie. I love adrenaline.
I love that. Each label that you just gave me, we could go off on for an hour on each one, and we're going to touch on those things. And that's one of the most unique descriptions I've gotten from a guest here on the show. Well,
Thank you.
let's start with the obvious. I met you because of your work at Lonnie's Auto. Can you talk to me about kind of your history with cars and your love affair with cars and speed and stuff going far back as you can remember?
I remember exactly where it started. It started with this little program, this little segment program. It was on basic cable, and it was when I was growing up. It started, I think, around 12, 13 years old, and it was a segment called Horsepower TV, and it was it varied a little bit, and it was on Saturday mornings. And Stacey David had this show called Trucks, and he just seemed like such a happy dude, and he's super knowledgeable, and he deep dove into custom fabricate. He wasn't just a mechanic. He was a fabricator and a customizer. He loved street rods and rat rods and 4x4s and stuff. And he was doing real high level custom work, and he had his own show. And it fascinated me. And there were a couple other shows too that I really enjoyed too. Monster Garage was another one. But that's really what got me into it. And also, I'm from a middle class family. We never had everything that we wanted, but we always had everything that we needed.
Okay.
And part of the deal, my parents told me right off the bat, they were like, "Hey, listen, you can get a car, but you're going to have to be able to repair it and work on it yourself, because we can't afford to just pay. We can't afford to just pay for that. We had one income. My mom was our sole provider."
Okay.
It really started out of enjoyment for understanding the way things work and how they come apart and why they work the way that they do. It was a general fascination. I think that's probably what most career techs or machinists, fabricators, most of them are like that. I was 16 and I ripped my mom's washing machine apart because I lost a chain in there. One of my first chains that I had like this. And that was pretty much it. And then I started going from there, and got into small engines first, and then got into farm equipment out of necessity because I was a farmer.
Okay.
And then went from there, and then got into diesels, and then cars, and then the rest is history.
The other people in your family, your siblings or uncles or family that were around you, was anybody else mechanical like that, or was that a journey that you kind of did on your own?
Nope. The only one was my Uncle Mike, and he lived 2 counties over, so I didn't see them all too much. but he had a good basic general knowledge of mechanics, but nothing specialized. Nobody in my family other than my great uncle Anthony. He was a master tech, master electrician in automotive, but he was a little bit of an influence on me early on, but I didn't see him very often. So it was pretty much a sole pursuit. It wasn't influenced by really anything other than a fascination with mechanics and for understanding.
Okay. What about your path to, I guess, the official path, as far as like school and certification, that kind of thing? Could you tell us about uh, that world, particularly from our younger people who might want to follow that path for today? What's the learning path?
Practical knowledge. Okay. Practicality with regard to the market. Just a blanket education's not enough. What you need to think about is, okay, what do I like versus what am I good at? Bridge that gap, figure out somewhere where you can meet in the middle.
Okay.
Because you might be phenomenal at something, talented at something, but you don't want to do it for a living, and you want it to just be a love affair hobby. Okay, that's
Okay.
the difference. So identifying what you're truly good at, and then focusing your education on that. Having a specialty is paramount to breaking free of the norm. You don't want to be average. You want to be above average at a minimum. And the way that you begin that pursuit is identifying a need, a service that you can provide to a specialized clientele that is willing to pay for your knowledge and your expertise.
Okay.
And then pursuing that practical knowledge. What all may it be trade school to get certified in a field, or anything specialized, man. That's, because everybody knows that the college degree now has been watered down just by the number of people that have one. So having something that you are highly specialized at and you are way above average at, that a subsection of a specialty of a category. So it goes even deeper than that.
Okay.
That's and so with that being said, the on the job training is how I did it, started on my own, and I wasn't good at it, and that's to be expected. I was slow, very slow. I would have to take things apart and put them back together multiple times, but that's how you learn. And then I graduated from Pine Bush Central High School with a Regents diploma with honors, and then I got hurt. I got an injury when I was in high school, which I healed from, but it took years and it was very difficult for me to sit or stand for extended periods of time. So I went away to college and I had a hard time focusing because I refused to be on any narcotics. I'm not, no painkillers, nothing, just exercise. And the worst lie you probably could ever be told by someone in the medical industry is that narcotics solve your problems. It's just a Band-Aid.
Okay.
The right lifestyle choice when you enter into such a huge commitment as a pursuit of a career.
Yeah.
You want to hedge your bets to be successful. So I took a medical leave of absence from college, and then I pursued when I was ready. A year later, I worked in the meantime and healed up. And I pursued a college education, and I would have stayed. I would have stayed and completed, but I ran out of money, and I took one loan out for $30,000, and I paid it off. Couldn't afford it, so I kept going. But the most of the knowledge that I got was on the job.
Okay.
And it's tough. It's tough to find somewhere that will allow you to be a liability to learn on the job. So getting and you can do it, but you have to work a lot harder. So I think the most important part of that, what I'm trying to say, is that if at all possible, go to school, finish high school, get your diploma, then go, if you choose to go to college, have something special that you pursue. an area of a focused area.
Okay.
Don't just go with a general idea, because then you won't be as valuable. And get a job, get a part-time job in the summertime in high school to bridge the gap, because that something that the workforce taught me is there's no breaks. There's no 3 months off. You don't get to take 3 months off. When you're not in school, you should be doing something productive to earn, so that you can become free at a young age. Feel what it feels like to be financially free as a young man or as a young lady. That feeling is addictive. It's addictive.
Okay.
That's what I would say. That probably the most important thing that if I could go back now instead of having to pay all the dues. Yeah.
Well, let me kind of dovetail off of that then. So you're in a position where you're running a business and you deal with employees and things like that. What are some things that you could share to help, say, a young person or a person of any age who wants to be a good employee, a good worker, one who will be promoted and seen? What are some general tips that you would share, whether it's your industry or any industry, for a younger person who needs some tips as to how to be a good worker? Because we assume people magically know this, and sometimes they don't. What could you tell us about that from your perspective?
Even if you're doing something, even if you have a particular task at a job that you're given, you do that task. Even if you hate it, you do it like you love it. And God is always watching, no matter what you do, where you are, no matter what. And if you keep that in your heart and in your mind at all times, you'll be much better off. Honor and my word. Being a man or a woman of honor, and a man or woman of your word. You make a promise, you keep it. You do what you say you were going to do. Be on time and consistent. All employers really, truly, deeply care about is that you care about what you do. You take pride in your work. You're an honorable person, regardless of your denomination, your race, your faith, does not matter. Faith is not required to be honorable.
Boy, that's big.
It's integrity. Having integrity, taking pride in your work, and pursuing knowledge constantly, and showing your employer that you are in a constant state of a thirst that can never be quenched for being better. And it's incredible, because if you put yourself into a business position, for example, okay, in a shop, you got I have 6 men, and between those 6 men, I have over 250 years total of knowledge, from knowledge that they've gotten from their mentors. And if you pay attention and you show that you want to learn, the older, more experienced people that you work with will share that with you and make your life easier. That showing that you care and being consistent. If you're working for the right people, you can make mistakes, here and there, but you're going to keep your job, and you're going to not only keep your job, but you're going to progress and excel.
That's excellent. On that same token, I want to say something that I'm pretty sure is false, and I'd like you to explain to us why it's false.
Okay.
Yeah. Younger people, or people who aren't in management or whatever, they'll think things like this: I want to be the owner or the boss or the manager, because if I'm in charge and over people, I basically sit back and tell everybody else what to do, and it's a really easy life for me. They do all the work, I'm the boss, and that's the easy life. Can you tell me what's false about what I just said?
It's a beautiful sentiment.
Okay.
kind of a fairy tale but this is the best part. I'll give you the best part, and then on average, the things that I struggle with most. The
Okay.
best part of being there's no such thing as a boss, first of all. You are your own boss. You decide what you do every day. You have an employer. A big part of that is understanding the difference in the thought process between who you are and who you think you are. Your goal should be to be a leader, not a boss. A leader is someone that will never ask one of their employees to do something that they would not do or have not done themselves.
Okay.
It alleviates no opportunity for anyone to ever refer to you or be accurate in referring to you as a hypocrite.
Okay.
But the thing that you will struggle with the most is that the more responsibility that you have, the more freedom you will have. So if you are pursuing a leadership or managerial role for the sole purpose of having an overwhelming sense of freedom and having more, leeway, that's something that I was taught by my parents when I was young. And they said, okay, you want to work? You're going to be able to spend your money how you want. We can't tell you what to do with it. And I was like, oh, that's freedom to me, is being the financial freedom is what it means the most to me. So if you're pursuing that role to be a boss, right, just to have dominion over people, then you're pursuing it for the wrong reason.
Okay.
So I think the most important part of that is understanding and identifying like what it is that you're looking to accomplish as a leader. And if you can handle it, because a lot of people can't, and if you are prone to burnout, it's not for you. It's not for you. It's a never ending. All you do every day is solve other people's problems for them or point people in the right direction. And in order to be able to do so, you have to have the knowledge, and it's not given, it's earned. It's not going to be, you're not going to learn it in the class. Be honest. You're not going to learn it in the classroom. You're not going to learn how to deal with people and their problems, especially when it comes to their money, because people are real funny about their money and their vehicles, and I got to deal with both every day.
Okay. Yeah. That makes perfect sense. Okay, I'll get it. Because everyone fantasizes that somebody else has it better, easier, or whatever. See
I
that.
mean, it is in ways it is. I worked as a heavy diesel tech, fabricator, welder, machinist. I built yachts for Everglades boats. I built heavy mega textile machinery for companies all over the world. 3M, Germany, Tex Wipes. I worked with heavy steel. I worked with diesels, all different kinds of hydraulic and pneumatic equipment for many years. I built and customized recreational vehicles, trailers, farm equipment. I did all these different things to become well-rounded. And then when I had this intimate knowledge of exactly what I was selling, I started at Midas, which we worked on everything. Now I'm in that was many years ago. Fast forward, I'm in a highly specialized field now with a completely different type of clientele. So it was not easy getting to this point to be relevant and worth anything. To be the most like worthwhile leader or boss, right? You have to have already put the work in. And anybody that rolls in with no trade experience, doesn't matter what it is, what you're doing. If you don't have the experience in the field already and have gone through the trials and the tribulations and the struggles so that you can relate to the people that you lead, you will never be relevant.
Okay. Relating. Would you say that one more time? The relating part. Would you please say that again?
Your ability to relate to your peers in a workplace, regardless of their age gap, is paramount, because if you can't relate and you haven't been through what they've been through, you will never be able to empathize with what they are going through on a daily basis. You will only ever be able to sympathize, and you will have respect on a different level than you ever could had you not had that same experience as they had. So being able to relate to the men and women that you work with every day is paramount.
That's big. And that the whole issue of empathizing, relating, that's something that a lot of my guests who never speak to each other keep bringing up. That's a consistent theme that keeps coming up. Um, Two areas I want to ask you about. One of the reasons why reached out and wanted you to be a guest here is the customer service that I got when I was there at your shop. Can you talk a little bit, because we have a lot of people that are budding entrepreneurs, or they want to go into business, whatever. Could you say a little word about your thoughts about customer service, how you treat your customers regardless of the field? I think that's something that would help us.
Be more, this is probably the only time I'll ask you this question, but be a little bit more specific with, because that I could talk about that for a while, but okay, so let me ask you this. This is rude to ask a question with a question, but this is just for clarification and for precision. What actually matters to you the most with regard to, because you have a very respectable, nice vehicle that you take care of. So I met you for the first time. You walked in my door. I did not know you. And I went through and I talked to you and I said, okay, this is what you told me what your problems were. I said, okay, this is how we're going to pursue the answers to these problems and what they are. What was it that actually made you trust me?
I think the clarity of how you explained situation to someone who's not mechanical, and the options that you gave me as far as what you could do or choose not to. The clarity of how you explained it and the options given. Top of my head, that would be the first two things I'd say.
Every single person is different. So knowing that there's like 3 rules that I have crafted and adapted from studying other people who were way more successful than me at the time.
Okay.
Every single person, you have to know your audience, right? So you have to being the difference between being great at this and elite is adjusting your style with every single person.
Okay.
The way that they speak, their cadence, their body language, everything has to be read. You have to be an expert at reading body language. Every single interaction that I have with a person is like a first date. You can blow it within the first 10 seconds, or, it can go well. And usually most people within 30 seconds of talking to you, they know whether they like you or not. And sometimes it takes a little bit more effort. Sometimes it takes a little bit less effort to get someone to trust you. The clarity in which I describe things to people, I give people worst case scenario pricing that you can always come down. Being able to predict what could happen through that experience that we were discussing earlier, and understanding from an intimate standpoint, from a first-hand standpoint of having that experience, knowing like, okay, this is where we need to start. This is what it's going to take to get this fixed, because they can't talk to us. It's not like a person or even an animal that you can read their body language. There's nothing. It's all knowledge and diagnostic ability. Everything is based in fact and evidence.
Okay.
So being able to provide that evidence to people when you're trying to sell them something, or more importantly, get them to trust you. And the easiest thing that you can do to diffuse someone with regard to what are called objections, which you need to also become an expert at. The easiest way that you can diffuse somebody is have them turn around and look at your work. having an actual physical representation of your status as a business manager or owner. For example, you drive into my facility. There's usually approximately 35 to 40 vehicles on my property at all times on a rolling basis. And we park everything. We back every single vehicle in, and the customers can see, oh, look at that. There's 2 Porsches up there. There's a Maserati up there. There's a Ferrari up there. Oh man, there's 2 7 Series Beamers. There's 2 M5s. Like, wow, these guys work on like.
Listen, I can attest to that, because that's the reaction that I had when I pulled up there for the first time. Exactly what you said. I took notice of what was there and what exotic cars were there. So I can attest that you're right about that.
Just like how it's similar to the phenomena that can really honestly make or break businesses with regard to reviews. What's the first thing you're going to do? You, as a consumer, are going to do, say you're going to go to a new restaurant, or say you're going to go look at furniture for your house, or you're going to look at a car. Does not matter. Almost everybody will tell you knee-jerk reaction. I'm going to go on their website or go on Google or Yelp and I'll look at the reviews. All right, cool. Mm-hmm. Those are very important. Customer testimonials, which is why it means so much to salespeople when you go on, or leaders or business owners, when you go on their site and you see testimonials from other customers who have had complex problems that no one else could solve. That I take tremendous amount of pride in that. We get work from dealerships that can't figure stuff out, and we're just a small little shop. And the most important thing that everyone may not be aware of, but this is true, it does not matter what the name over the building or the sign over the building says. Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter. All that matters is how you are treated, and that you are made to feel safe and secure there, and that you can trust that your assets are being looked after, and that the advice that you are being provided is valid and financially advantageous for you. Because vehicles are an investment. They're how you get back and forth to work. They're how you make your bread. So if there's any interruption in that, people get real reasonably so. They get upset. Oh, well, I got to make it to work. I can't miss work. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, that's why we schedule everything like a doctor. You can't just roll into my shop and be like, oh, hey, I need this right now. Oh, sorry. There's a 5-day wait. And that's so I can get jobs in and out expediently. And telling people that, and most people are situationally aware, but some people aren't. And all you have to do, if somebody argues with you, do me a favor, turn around, look at my parking lot. You see all those cars? Oh, yeah, you guys look really busy. Well, we are. There's a reason for it. The way people are treated, being forthright and forthcoming, completely transparent. If you are completely transparent with someone, mm-hmm. and you charge them a fair price, and you know what your competition charges, I cannot tell you how important that is.
Okay.
And arming yourself with as much knowledge as humanly possible so that you can provide that to your customer so they can make an educated decision on how they want to proceed and spend their money. That is all you need to do. If I had to sum it up in one sentence, that's all you got to do.
There's so much in there. I get that. That's excellent. And yeah, again, with my interactions with you, I can attest that you do the things that you just talked about, even in the particular situation that brought me to your shop in the first place. I have about 8 minutes left here, and that's good because I have 2 questions, and this would be perfect. One, could you talk about the continuing education that, I don't know whether it's on the job or whether it's certification classes or whatever, that people in your world have to go through? The reason I bring this up is, as a teacher, kids will get out of high school and they'll say, hallelujah, I'll never have to learn anything else again. And I say, I don't think that's true. So can you talk about the continuing education that someone will have to go through even after getting a job at a place such as yours? That's my first question.
So I'll be very specific. So with regard to automotive industry, our standard are called ASE certifications. Okay. Most shops, most will pay you to go to school. This is not talked about in the mainstream. It's also not talked about enough, quite frankly, in public school or private. They're not going to tell you that you do not have to pay for an education. You can get paid for an education.
This is great.
Very specific to automotive. Okay, we're not talking about the trades. We're not talking about plumbers, electricians, carpenters, etc. We're talking about automotive. Most shop, like my shop, for example. Okay, our owner is unbelievably generous. He offers it to everybody. Any ASC, you basically you start at the lowest level and you work your way up. And he is willing to pay for highly specialized, not only ASC training, but Mercedes-Benz training, Porsche training, etc. He's willing to do that. I don't know that many people that go that far. Even when I worked for Midas, they were willing to do ASCs for free. That costs tens of thousands of dollars to pursue on your own. But if you get into a shop, the ASC certifications are of the utmost importance because they make you the most valuable in our field. If you walk into an interview and you say, I'm an ASC certified A-Tech or a Master Tech, which is much harder to get. But if you're an A-Tech, at least an A-Tech, and you walk into a shop, you're going to make good money. You're going to make real good money with very little investment, mostly just an investment of your time and working a little bit lower level, entry level job, which is how everyone starts. Nobody walks into a shop with no experience as a senior tech. Doesn't work that way. Paying your dues and getting paid to do your job and learn on the job, as well as getting your ASC certifications, which most employers will pay for. Free education, and it's incredibly valuable. That's the main one with regard to automotive that you can pursue most of the time for free. Get paid to go to school. It's incredible, and most people don't know about it.
God, that's priceless. That is priceless information. Thank you for that. And it looks like with my time, this is perfect. My last question: in your intro of yourself on the elevator, one of the things you talked about was being an adrenaline junkie, and we've even talked about that in text a little bit. Can you talk to us about speed, etc., adrenaline, etc.? Go.
The best drug that you will ever do, that your brain naturally produces, that you don't need to buy, is adrenaline. And you can get that a lot of different ways. I have two. They're hot rod motorcycles. I have two hot rod motorcycles. I have a 2022 Indian Chieftain Limited, and I have a 2003 Victory Classic Cruiser. They're both unbelievably powerful. They're not fast, but they're powerful.
Could you explain the difference for those of us who don't know the difference between fast and powerful?
The difference is speed is just a rate. It's just a mileage per hour rating, right? But having something that has an incredible amount of low end torque, you get up to the speed limit very quickly. You can still operate within the confines of the law, but having something that's really, really powerful, it sends chills up your spine and gives you goosebumps every single time you twist the throttle. Skydiving is another great one. That's something that I do once a year.
Wow.
Yeah, but stay away from booze and drugs. They ruin everybody's lives. They make you fat. They make you age prematurely. Cigarettes is another big, bad one here. I'm smoking a cigar, but I quit all that. I quit cigarettes and chewing tobacco and all that stuff. But the adrenaline is the freest, most readily available drug that you could ever have, other than winning, other than succeeding. Success and adrenaline, they go hand in hand. That's why so many high power people that you meet, they don't drink, they don't smoke, they don't do any drugs. They have boats and planes and motorcycles, and they go on trips, and that's how they get high. And that's the next level of elite of taking, instead of taking a substance, you work to accomplish that natural high that you receive every day. And then you can afford to be truly financially free. Your only goal, if I could like talk to kids or talk to your students, the only goal you should have is to do whatever it is you need to do to maintain your honor, to become financially free as fast as possible. It changes your life. There is no feeling like knowing that all your bills are going to be paid and you have a surplus every month.
You have packed so many good things into this. I am so glad we did this. I appreciate